And you were a legislator. Were you able to get any information about chemtrails?
Well, if I have, what I have gotten has been on my own time and research, because nobody down there seems to care. I mean, it's dulling their senses. It's making a lot of them sick with a lot of lung-type, conditions. But I don't know how they're going to function very well as legislators if they're not healthy. In fact, one of the gentlemen that spoke at our nullification conference, I thought it was so good. His name's Robert Scott Bell, and he's, into homeopathic medicine and everything, and he talked about people that are healthy breed liberty. And if you're not healthy, you're going to have a hard time standing up for liberty and freedom.
Well, now that's a very interesting point. My most recent book, called The Pursuit of Happiness, postulates that you cannot be truly happy unless you are free. They say ignorance is bliss, but it's not real bliss.
It certainly isn't.
You've always been a big family values advocate. Now you're telling me the nullification conference, there are a lot of young people, which gives me hope. What kind of family values do you see developed and developing, and what changes do you see around family values in society in general, both on the state and on the national level?
Well, Brent, I've changed my mind since being in the legislature and getting a lot more information on some issues than I had when I first went in. Some of it pertains to the drug war. We have had such a horrific problem here in Arizona, of course, with our open borders, that what has changed in my thought process, and I've always loved Dr. Ron Paul, and I never quite understood where he was coming from in regards to legalizing marijuana, but I have since changed my mind on that.
The state of family values in society today, and not just on a state level, but on a national level as well.
Well, I guess, Brent, as I've thought about it, family values are absolutely in the sewer. And I guess a lot of that has to do with the educational part of our federal government. The kids are not being taught anything about real history. Truth has gone out the window. And that is what is so sad. The media just feeds us all kinds of things that are not correct and not right. And we have succumbed to that for so long that, if you repeat something long enough, people believe it even though it's a lie.
Well, do you see hope in, for example, the fact that you were at a nullification conference and you said there were a lot of young people who were interested? Does that lend hope that whatever lack of truth, whatever lack of justice permeates the society, that maybe we're working on a change?
I do see that. I'm hopeful, Brent. I really enjoyed these young people and had an opportunity to speak with them individually, and was very, very encouraged about where they're coming from and how passionate they are about what they're trying to do as far as freedom and liberty is concerned, and about going back to our original history, how this country was founded, and what, Jefferson had to say, what Washington had to say about things, and that this is all being taken away from our children in the school process. Probably the last decade or so that I was in school is when it actually, just got erased. And it is so sad. I mean, when you look at figures like, probably get in trouble for this, but Abraham Lincoln, who nearly, destroyed our country, and yet he is looked at as just one of these great heroes.
Oh, no. On this show, you don't get in trouble for that at all. Abraham Lincoln was one of the big traitors of our history.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, you'll get no argument here, and I know many of my listeners are quite familiar with that as well. You spoke about the obvious issue of, you say illegal immigration. I call them illegal invaders. What are your views on SB 1070 and on the general problem of these illegal invaders in Arizona?
Well, Brent, I probably would have been in a lot of trouble if I had been in the legislature when that bill came up. And it's not because I don't believe in absolutely securing our borders, because I do. We have in Arizona, as do some of the other states. Horrific problems with drugs and smuggling and all of this. And I think for a moment I alluded to the fact that I've changed my mind on marijuana. I would be in favor of legalizing marijuana now, and I wasn't when I first went in the legislature, but because of a lot more information and understanding, I hopefully, have been able to come to grips with that. But what's happening with SB 1070 is there was a lot of it, probably 85-90% of it, that was good and addressed the borders, but there was a small part of it, Brent, that was missed, definitely by the media, but it was brought to the attention of the sponsor and other people down there. For over a month, there were many, many people, mostly the Ron Paul Campaign for Liberty people, that went down and spoke with the sponsor. He had inserted a part in there that talks about giving our driver's license administration, sharing that with Homeland Security. And that is an absolute no.
No. I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, it just sickened me, and I would have had to have voted no on that bill if I'd been down there. And I would have been just excoriated, I'm sure, by the rest of the Republicans, because everybody was on board, because 90% of it was good. But see how this is, you understand how...
I'll tell you, just as a comment on the drugs, my own view is, if you punish the criminals for the crimes they commit, you don't need to worry about the drug. In other words, if somebody takes a drug but doesn't harm anybody, except maybe themselves, well, that's their business. Okay, if somebody takes a drug and gets addicted and then goes and robs my house, that's a crime. Prosecute the crime.
Yes, I definitely agree. And, I feel really good about seeing that issue in a different light now. I really do.
Several years ago, you floated the idea of secession. Do you think, considering how oppressive Obamacare has been with his over-regulation, do you think the idea has gained any kind of popularity since your time in the Senate?
Yes, I definitely think. People don't look at me like I was a wild-eyed nut now. But at the time, the reason that I put that bill forward is it was the last part of Bill Clinton's regime. And at the time, there was talk about confiscating firearms and suspending the Constitution. And those were the two issues that we addressed in that secession bill, because we said if the federal government suspends the Constitution or decides that they want to come and confiscate firearms, that is when Arizona will secede. And, of course, we were encouraging other states to consider doing the same thing.
And I love your use of the word regime. I thought I was the only one who saw through the propaganda that our allies are called administration. Our enemies are called regime.
Oh, my goodness, Brent.
I just call them all regime.
I don't know. I do have hope, but it's just not as, strong as it used to be. Going to the nullification conference was a good thing for me. I don't often come down off of the mountain to go to very many things anymore, unless it's to go to the legislature and to try to plead with these legislators to open up their minds a little bit.
Have you thought about throwing your hat back in the ring and running for office again?
Brent, you are very, very kind, as I said before. I was fortunate enough to represent a district in the old part of Mesa, Arizona, and the people were very family-oriented, conservative type constitutionalists there. I really don't like the labels, conservative, liberal, etc., because I've always tried to look at myself as being in the balanced center, which is right where the Constitution is.
Well, just in this brief time that we've been talking, you've already shown that what you possess is an ability to see things clearer than most people, and that's what we're lacking in the various legislative halls from coast to coast. It's wonderful. You have a wonderful family. Do you have great-grandchildren, by the way?
No, we don't have any yet. The oldest grandson is 28, and then it just goes down from there. So, and he's not married yet, so,
That's amazing. 35 grandchildren and no great. Well, you got to stay around. And if you are so inclined, I want to know about it, because if you do decide to throw your hat back in the ring, we will bring you up on here to give you whatever exposure we can.
Oh, Brent, I appreciate that. I think what I really would like to do is to be able to help those that get into office, because that's a hard thing to do. It takes a lot of time and effort to run for office and to put yourself out there, you know, to actually kind of stand naked before the media, because they chew you to pieces. I mean, I've been scared. I cannot tell you the cartoons that they've drawn about me, but you've got to really develop thick skin, and I would like to help some of these people, you know, understand what their role is and how effective they could be and what a difference they could make if they would just open up their minds and educate themselves as to what is really going on around us and not buy into all of this, you know, Fox faux news and everything else.
Well, do you have like a website or something where people can contact you if they're you know, if they'd like to pick your brains?
I don't have a website. I have an email.
All right, why don't you give it out?
Sure. My husband's name is Jerry, and so it's Jerry Karen altogether. That's JerryKaren at frontiernet.net.
Right.
And I try to get into it often.
Jerry Karen at frontiernet.net if you'd like to contact Karen Johnson. I'm sorry, what was that last thing?
Well, no, I was just going to say I try to get into it almost every day. We have some pigs and chickens now, and so I spend a little time with them when I can. I enjoy them better than the legislators.
Oh, I'll tell you something. I understand that. I enjoy my animals more than most people, though you would be an exception to that rule. Karen Johnson, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really, really appreciate your coming on the show, and I wish you the very, very best. And I, for one, I'm going to be selfish. I hope you do decide that you want to throw your hat back in. As dirty as politics is, you're the kind of person who can help add some cleanliness to it.
Oh, Brent, thank you so much. Those are very, very kind words.
Thanks so much. Karen Johnson, Senator Karen Johnson, that is a title that you hold even after your days in the Senate. And it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much, Karen Johnson.